Hey everybody, I'm Brenda, Queen Bee RV, coming to you from the National RV Training Academy, and today we're taking a look at RV maintenance made easy. If you're like me and love a juicy checklist, this is going to be right up your alley. There's something about crossing items off a list that is so satisfying, and it's no different when it comes to taking care of my RV. Staying on top of the daily, monthly, seasonal, and annual RV maintenance schedule gives me peace of mind that I'm not only protecting my investment, I'm also protecting my personal safety, plus my family's safety too. So this begs the question, how do we get ahead of the game or handle the effects of this regular wear and tear? That's where preventative and ongoing maintenance comes in. Stay with me while I share a few of my favorite maintenance and troubleshooting tips that I've collected over the years for the most common systems and appliances in the RV. Let's begin our checklist with one of the items that I think is critical to the entire RV adventure, and that's the axles and running gear, including the wheels and tires. It's a no-brainer to start here because we need all these items to be in great shape to make it to our next destination safely. Do a visual inspection of the axles, frame, and running gear to see if there are any signs of scrapes, dents, or excessive rust. The frequency of this one all depends on your travel habits. If you're in a salty or sandy environment, take a look every 6 weeks. Otherwise, every 4 months. And there is one really important item in that assembly that you need to check every trip, before and after, which are the shackles. Why? Because if those shackles fail, that can leave you stranded on the side of the road. This one most likely needs to be performed by a specialist. Get your wheel bearings repacked every year or 12,000 miles, no matter what. Check your tires every trip for not only proper tire pressure, but also examine them for signs of uneven tread wear. This might indicate over or under inflation. Make sure you have a tire gauge with you at all times that fits the PSI range for your specific tires, and check them pre and post trip each time. You can also extend the life of your tires by covering them to protect them from harmful UV rays. Test your trailer brakes each trip to ensure they are performing properly by doing a tug test using your brake controller in your tow vehicle. If the brakes in the trailer are not engaging, it could be a problem with either your brake controller or possibly the 7-pin connector shown here. This maintenance tip is for the 12-volt battery system in the RV, and specifically those with lead-acid batteries. And this is because the batteries are the brains of just about all the important systems in the RV, like the lights, your slide rooms and leveling jacks, the water pump, the vent fans, the igniter on the water heater, the furnace fans, the control panels on the refrigerator, and your thermostat for the heat and air. Get a clear understanding of which items are powered by the 12 volt in your coach, and make yourself a little cheat sheet on an index card to keep handy for troubleshooting. To extend the life of your lead-acid batteries, avoid letting it discharge below 50%, which in this case is actually 12 volts. If you have a monitor panel inside the RV with an exact voltage reading, that's awesome. Otherwise, this would be a great time to invest in a multimeter. This activity is a daily one while on your trip. Check the battery periodically for signs of corrosion that needs to be cleaned. You can also check the cable connections at this time to ensure they are tight. Both of these will confirm that the battery is able to deliver proper voltage to those important 12-volt powered items in the RV. If you have a serviceable lead-acid battery, you'll also want to keep an eye on the water levels in the battery fill wells, and if they need topping off, be sure to use only distilled water. The best thing you can do for your lead-acid battery is to keep it plugged in at all times and charging if possible. If you do not have that option or are storing it away between trips, you can use a battery charger to do the job. Those batteries can lose up to 1 volt per month while not being charged, so keeping that voltage reading above 50% will extend the life of the batteries. If you find 12-volt items that are not operative in the RV, start with the basics and check that voltage on the battery to see if you need to charge them. Another simple fix might be a 12-volt fuse. You can find the 12-volt fuses next to or near the shore power breakers in the electrical panel on the interior of your coach. Some RVs have an indicator light that will tell you which one needs to be replaced. Keep a supply of extra fuses handy in case one is blown. Since the air conditioner tends to be one of the bigger ticket items in the RV, let's take a look at some of the things you can do to preserve this essential component. First, have your AC serviced 1 or 2 times a year, specifically before the hot weather kicks in. There are inspections that your certified RV professional can run to prolong the life of the unit. If you feel comfortable accessing your roof, there are a couple of items you can check on the AC while you're up there. Take a look at the shroud cover to verify that all 4 fastening bolts are in place and secure to avoid the cover flying off while we're driving down the road. The metal fins that you see on the back side of the exterior are the evaporator coils, and they can get bent or mashed easily, which can affect cooling efficiency. These get damaged either by weather events or even tree limbs, so avoid parking under low-hanging branches and keep the RV in covered storage when not in use if possible, and have a certified RV professional straighten the fins during servicing. Power spikes or even low voltage can damage the air conditioner, so an electrical management system like this one will help to protect from unexpected voltage highs and lows. Airflow is super important when it comes to your AC function, and this not only allows for better cooling, it avoids undue wear and tear on the system itself. Filters should be cleaned often, so find where yours are located and check every month during high use time. When it comes to operating the air conditioner, understand the power capabilities of your RV, whether it's 30 amp or 50 amp service, and how many watts you have available for use. The AC consumes a lot of watts, and especially on startup. Keep an eye on what other appliances are in use at this time. Overconsumption could trip a breaker or keep the AC from even starting up. Although your air conditioner requires 120 volt shore power to operate, a quick reminder that the thermostat is powered by 12 volt, so proper battery voltage might be a place to look when troubleshooting. The overhead air dump feature will cool the RV quicker during the hottest times of the day, and once it reaches your desired temperature, keep the individual air vents open and use the thermostat to control the temperature instead. Did you know that the RV absorption style refrigerator is one of the priciest appliances in the RV? So on that note, let's investigate a few simple maintenance items that you can do to keep it running smoothly. The absorption style refrigerator relies on airflow on the back side of the unit as well as proper ventilation. Check this lower area once a month and keep it free of debris, spider webs, and insects. Confirm that that rooftop vent is not being blocked by leaves or bird nests that would also restrict airflow. Keeping the RV level will confirm optimal cooling and also prevent damage to the unit. When not in use, power down the refrigerator, empty its contents, and keep the doors cracked to air it out. There are several things that can affect proper cooling in the RV refrigerator. Keep an eye on the seals of both the freezer and the refrigerator doors to make sure there are not any gaps that would allow warm air in. Since the absorption style refrigerator does not have a fan to circulate air, avoid overpacking it and consider a small battery-powered fan to help with distributing the cool air throughout. If the refrigerator is not operating on all of its power sources, start with the basics. Are you plugged into shore power? Is the breaker turned on at the pedestal? Is the battery charged? Is there propane in your tanks, and are the valves open? And then next, take a look at the breaker panel and fuses. I love talking about water heater maintenance and troubleshooting because this is one of those appliances that we use regularly, and it's also one that has several items we can do ourselves. Let's look into the regular tank style water heater and some tips I have for you. The 2 major brands of water heater are Suburban and the Atwood Dometic. Figure out which one your RV has because they're all made of different materials and require attention unique to the brand. The Suburban brand water heaters are made of steel and use an anode rod. Keep an eye on the anode rod anytime you drain the tank and change it out when 50% or more is missing. The Atwood Dometic tanks are made of aluminum and do not require an anode rod. These have a plastic drain plug, and if you ever replace it, make sure to stick with the exact same style. Do a visual inspection of the outdoor water heater compartment on each trip. There are several reasons why, starting with the fact that wasps, spiders, and other insects are attracted to the smell of the additive in propane, so they tend to hang out in there and build webs and nests in the igniter and burn chamber areas. Clear those out and keep the compartment clean. Over time, during use, the inside of the water heater will eventually need cleaning due to calcium buildup. Drain and clean the tank at least once per season or more frequently if you're a full-timer. A common issue RVers have with the water heater is no hot water at the faucets, or water is not even entering the tank. This is typically a bypass problem. If you have a water-based system, confirm that the handles are not in winterized configuration. If you have manual bypass handles, those can usually be accessed on the back side of the tank, somewhere on the interior of the RV. Those handles should be in the normal use configuration and allowing water to enter and exit the tank without also running through the bypass section. If your water heater operates on both propane and electric but is not working on all sources, start with the basics. Is there propane in your tanks and are the valves open? Is the battery fully charged so that it operates the igniter when in propane mode? Is the rig plugged into shore power and is the breaker turned on at the pedestal? The LP system is responsible for all the propane-fueled appliances in your RV, like the cooktop, oven, water heater, refrigerator, and furnace. This system has several safety features, and in addition, it's imperative to conduct ongoing observation and maintenance to check for leaks or compromises to the lines and connections. Have a certified RV inspector or technician perform a leak drop test on the propane system each year. This will check for any compromises to those connections or lines and confirm that the system holds pressure. You'll also want this test to be conducted anytime a technician has performed propane appliance repairs. Ensure that your connections at the tanks are secure and hand-tight. Consider the appliances that utilize propane, like the ones we've already covered, refrigerator and water heater, plus your furnace. Keep those compartments clear of debris, insects, and nests, then make sure floor vents and return vents for the furnace are clear and clean. RVers commonly experience a frustrating issue with the LP system called propane lockout. You might notice that only a small amount of propane is flowing to the cooktop, but none of the larger appliances will ignite. This is actually caused by one of the safety features called the excess flow valve, and you might have unknowingly engaged it because one of the propane appliances was already turned on when you opened the tank valves. To remedy this, turn off any appliances calling for propane, head outside, turn off the service valve at the tanks, count to 10, then open the valves to allow propane to flow into your system and build up that pressure needed to operate properly. Cold weather frustrations are also common, and you can alleviate them by topping off your propane tanks when you know that the temperatures are going to drop, and do your best to keep the tanks protected from the elements. You can also optimize their performance during winter weather by keeping them warm, like with these special heated blankets made for the tanks. That's a wrap, and I hope that you got some ideas and the confidence to tackle a few of these on your own. Or if you need the help of a certified RV technician, you can find one by heading to rvtaa.org and click on Find a Tech for someone located near you.